Hi everyone, this is Kaabnesh, Coach LadyK, coming to you from Confessions of an Evangelist Daughter. So the handle is Legacy of Spiritual Fire. My dad is the one actually who picked the spiritual part when I sent him with the name, and when I'm creating, like going through all the names and what I should call it. And I had my father's blessing to create Confessions of an Evangelist Daughter. And so I can share my journey, and he gave me a green light. So it is not just outside of their approval, my parents' approval, I'm starting this. And when I was gonna do the handle Legacy of Fire, he's like, my father was like, Legacy of Fire, it could be any fire, add spiritual. I was like, yes, father. So he's the one who picked Legacy of Spiritual Fire, and he was so excited when I told him that I'm starting this. So I have my parents check on this journey, and in this season of 2026 I am speaking about my father's book, Ethiopis, number 5. Number 1 was printed 25 years ago, I suppose 20 years ago, and between those, he is on the 5th one right now. Ethiopis number 1, Ethiopis number 2, Ethiopis, that's how in English. And then የተባረከው ተስፋችን, the millennium, like our blessed hope of the millennium, is the 3rd book. And then Ashem Kokata was the 4th book. It's right here, I have Ashem Kokata. And የታሪክ የባህልና የእምነት ዳሰሳ ይላል. So it's about history, tradition, and faith. It touches all 3 of them, and that was his book. The 4th book, it's very thick because it's literally a study kind of book. He did his master's. When he did his master's, he wrote that book. So to touch Ashem Kokata is the name taken from the southern Debub Kambatinya language. That's how Kambata, the region, Kambata was, a diverse city. People literally migrated from different corners of the country to migrate there and create their own language, and how they just lived together in harmony, and they picked a language. They created their own mixture of different, and then they made their own. So how we can live together in one place and migrated from different corners of our world, and we can live. That's the same thing like America. It's a melting pot. America is a country of migrators. The first, from UK, they're like, we can't live with this bureaucracy, and they came and they came to America. The Indian Americans were here, right? And we opened the door for all corners of the world to migrate and prosper, and this country has its own faults and weaknesses, and it has greater strength as well. So every corner of the world have a broken thing in their system. We came to the broken world, so there's no one perfect in this world. We all have issues, so we have to pick our battle. Today I am basically doing this and covering chapter 2 more so, but chapter 1 is talking about, it's going to be a mixture of Amharic and English because my dad's book is in Amharic and I have to translate and as I read. So the chapter 1 is የሃይማኖት ሰበብ የተከሰተ የፖለቲካና የኢኮኖሚ ውዝግብ በኢትዮጵያ, by the name of religion, how a chaos happened in the country with our economy and Ethiopia. So my dad talks about the first chapter about the Abai river, the Nile river, Abai ones, So that's how, you know, our border are Egypt, and then it flows from Ethiopia and goes to Egypt. And Egypt had been prospering from the Nile River for many, many years. And he's talking about how religion and some politics, you know, literally blocked us from using the Nile, which is what flows from us, but we never used it. So now we have the dam, right? So ኢትዮጵያ የአባይን ወንዝ ሆነ የባህር ወደብ ተጠቃሚ ሆና ለአገር ልማትና ለህዝብ ብልጽግና እንዳታውልና ወደ ስልጣኔ ከፍታ እንዳትወጣ ግብጾች በሃይማኖት ሰበብ ለዘመናት የፈጠሩት ጫናና ውዝግብ ለአገሪቱ እድገት ጋሬጣ መሆኑ ይላል. And what it's saying is how the Egyptian government created a hindrance by the name of religion and politics that our country won't use the Nile River for its own. And so by creating, you know, different tactics, so for many, many years, but right now we have the dam, right? We built the dam when we are finished with it and we are able to use it. I mean, still there is friction between Egypt and Ethiopia, but guess what? Water is a flow. It's only just continue to flow, but we're taking some for us to produce power, energy, you know, and irrigation for farming. So prosperity can be spread for everybody. We got enough. It's a flow of water. We can't block a water. We can only take some because the flow doesn't finish, you know. Same thing, the flow of water was coming from the Garden of Eden, right? And different sides of the corner. So now that's the chapter 1. And he goes into detail how, you know, that for their own goods, how they created stress and pressure so that could stop us from growing economically, being independent. And we can't always be a beggar, you know. We have our own resources, we can use it and we can share it, right? That's chapter 1. And chapter 2, I want to read to you የጥንታዊት ኢትዮጵያ መንግስታዊ መዋቅርና ነገስታቶቿ. This chapter 2 talks about how Ethiopia had been way before anybody, 5,000 years. And then this is literally based on studies my dad did. So ኢትዮጵያ ለ5000 ዓመታት ገደማ ህጋዊ ያስተዳደር መዋቅር ያለው መንግስት መስርታ በስልጣኔም አድጋ ህዝቧን ስታስተዳድር የሆነች ጥንታዊ ሀገር ለመሆኗ የየዘመኑ መሪዎች የስም በዝርዝር እነሆ. So literally it's saying how Ethiopia had been like officially governed and, you know, a government, established government for many years before anybody, you know, established, and that we used to run our people from then on till now with our, you know, ancient structure and culture. And we have details for that, and that is page 9. And then it talks about many research. It's not just one page, it's several pages. It is interestingly, some of the kings reigned for 6 hours, you know, for 6 hours. Like a couple of governments, a couple of kings literally reigned for 6 hours. So I think it's 3 of them or something. And the highest was, I think, 57 years. Haile Selassie was 46 years. But it's some government, I think Queen of Sheba was 57 years, I believe. And so you can imagine how many years every government, when they run for this many years, the amount of influence, especially if one government stayed in that power over 50 years, that is disturbing. You know why? Because they would be set on their own way. Like how impatient we are in America. 5 years, we couldn't wait for them to get out of office, right? Imagine 5 times 5 times 5 is just, 5 times 5 is 25. Imagine 5 times 4. And 5 times 3, 5 times 7, 5 times 8. Why am I saying 3? I'm lowering it. And so some government were 7 years, some government was 1 year, some government was 2 days, some government was 6 hours, just 6 hours. It's crazy. And so I'm trying to say that how many years of structure and like brainwashing it must be for one person to reign, to deeply root their system for 50 years. That is a lot of years. So even Haile Selassie, to reign for that many years, 30 years, 14 years, 34 years, long years. And I just want to see how many years Queen of Sheba, and even Yodit Gudit. So I just want to read to you the Yodit Gudit. I think Yodit is how it's Yodit. Her name is Yodit, and she was a Jew in Ethiopia. There are Ethiopian Jews, so Jewish people in Ethiopia in the Queen of Sheba time. They came back with Menelik II. Is that Menelik the First or Menelik the First, who was Queen of Sheba's son? Queen of Sheba went to Israel to visit King Solomon because of his name went all around the world. And then legend have it, he has so many concubines and side chicks and wives. So he literally slept with Queen of Sheba, and she got pregnant. And after she got pregnant, she hid herself so nobody would know, because she took the government after her father, because her father didn't have any sons to take after. So she was the only daughter to her father. So she promised to not get married so she can keep her father's kingdom. And when she got pregnant, she hid herself in Ethiopia. She has, of course, her own guards and stuff to hide her pregnancy. And she birthed Menelik I, her son. And when he was growing up, he kept asking her, who is my father? Who is my father? She couldn't tell him, right? When he turned 18, I'm telling you, that's our side of the story, the Ethiopian side of the story. When he turned 18, she sent him to Israel to see his father. And when he went to Israel, this kid looks exactly like his father, Solomon. And the mayors of every state, 12 tribes of Israel, they wanted to kill him because they this kid looks exactly like you, and he is about to take after you. There is no way a stranger son coming from elsewhere looks like exactly his father is gonna take over this country. And they wanted to kill him. They wanted to remove him. And King Solomon was like, you want to kill my son? He is Queen of Sheba's son. Well, everything is not written in the Bible for you. I'm telling you our side of the story. So he was like, okay, you can't touch my son. He's not gonna reign. He's not gonna take over the government. But this is what you're gonna do. If you want him to leave and you don't want him to be here, guess what you're gonna do? You are gonna send each one of you's firstborn sons to go back to Ethiopia so they can help him to run his country. And guess what? They agreed. They agreed to send their son, instead of like, your son is gonna reign our country, is gonna become a king or whatnot. They were threatened. He wasn't there to become the king of Israel. He went there to visit his father, because all his life, 18 years of his life, he didn't know who his father was. And Queen of Sheba couldn't tell him, because, you know, that's how she kept her kingdom. Okay? When you go to Ethiopia and see where her palace was, where she used to bathe, where, you know, the ground of the palace she walked on, you know, there's, you know, it's all gone, but there is a foundation there, and then it's beautiful. It's just kind of walks you back. The Queen of Sheba's spirit takes you through, you know. Guess what? They sent their firstborn from every tribe of Israel. And, you know, they went back. When they went back was Menelik the First to Ethiopia. They kind of realized, because, you know, through his marriages and association, King Solomon built literally so many enemies, especially the brothers of the princesses, you know, with all the countries around, the countries like Egypt, different kings. He made association, he made a deal to marry their daughters. And they, like, because he's a very powerful man, they gave away their daughters. And then he has like how many wives? Hundreds of wives and concubines. Excuse me. Should I stop this or what? I can't even edit this out because I'm not there yet. I'm still doing everything from my desktop. So deal with it. And it's a very cold season. And God help me. Then they realized this man is not gonna last for a long time. He wasn't gonna last with the way he was going, because he definitely developed so many enemies, especially the brothers of the princesses hated him, hated his gut. Like, who did he think he is? I mean, I would say the same thing. Imagine my brother, my three brothers, if they see that I am marrying this king because he's a very popular guy and he is so charming, and I'm like the 400th wife to him, and then I'm like, okay, I want to marry him, and then my brothers would be like, who does he think he is? And then he has so many enemies. That's what the Bible says. He definitely developed so many contention around him, so his kingdom become weaker and weaker. The reason he did it, the very reason he did marry different women from different places, is to strengthen his kingdom, to not have adversary. But guess what? The very thing he went after is the very thing weakened his kingdom. Sometimes the very thing you do to protect your own self, or to like indulge in what you want, and then you go, against God's promise. He literally betrayed God, right? He gave him every power, every wisdom, all those things. He became a powerful man, King Solomon, we're talking about, because God gave him everything. Because he came in a dream to him that, what do you want? because after like he became a king, he just put so much sacrificial things, lambs, pure things, many cows, so many things for God, because he's like, my father, King David, my father was like, God's heart was after David. And Solomon was so humbled, God chose him because the way he came was through Bathsheba, through sin. But Jesus doesn't, disqualify you because you came through sin. Guess what? God has a grace of redemption, but God is also a God of vengeance as well. When God gives you his back, that's when you rather just, go home to be with him. And so King Solomon, God showed himself in a dream to him because of all the love and honor he had for God. And he asked him, what do you want? He said, you are the God of my father. My father walked in and out with you, and these people are yours. They're not my people. They are yours first, because Israel is God's people, right? The promised people. And the promise of God's friend, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is Israel, right? His name was changed. So David is that, lineage. And God was like, what do you want? He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm so young. This great people. He calls them great people. The honor he had for his people, God's people. Later on, he forgot all that promise, all that agreement he had with God. And he said, I don't know what to do. I'm very young. I don't know how to run this country, your people, to go before them, to walk in and out. And he's like, I need wisdom. I need understanding. I need a piece of you. God is filled with that. Those who lack wisdom should ask, and God gives it, right? So God said, you didn't ask for riches. You didn't ask for power. You didn't ask for nothing but wisdom. So I will give you more than you asked, like abundantly. I'll give you riches. There's nobody will be rich or powerful and filled with wisdom as you. And God gave him overflow. When God gives you overflow, you better watch out and be careful and stay grounded and humble. Stay closer to God, lean to God, like no matter what. But later on, he became weaker and weaker because the power, it became like a seed. His throne became gold. Everything became gold, overflow. Even Queen of Sheba brought like incense, so many gold. Ethiopia is filled with rubies and, all this beautiful precious stones. She brought everything. And when she saw his wisdom and his charisma, she's like, what I was told is nothing compared to what I'm seeing. She was in awe. So now, he wanted to sleep with Queen of Sheba too. So that's how Menelik the First happened. And so when he came, everyone gave their firstborn, so to go back to Ethiopia and then help him to run the country, to take after his mother. And they realized this man power is dwindling down because he walked away from God. When you walk away from God, everything dwindles slowly but surely. So unfortunately or fortunately, they took the Ark of the Covenant, and they talk about also the cross, half of the cross or whatever cross, መስቀል የሚባል ነገር አለ, like, in Ethiopia we celebrate the cross, and then also there is a place which they say the covenant, the commandment, the 10 Commandments they took that, they stole that from the synagogue, or from the palace. I'm not sure from where. I need to go back to refresh my story reading, but this is a very long story I was told when I was like, young, 20 years ago probably. And so they took it and then they ran away. They left, and they realized, the king advisors and everybody realized, they took the commandment, and they took a bunch of good stuff when they left Israel to help Menelik the first to run the country. They're like, you know what, we're going to Ethiopia, we've been sent out because you know what, and then who knows, those sons, do they wanted to go? No, who want to go to a strange land? But they were forced probably to go. They're like, okay, we're taking a piece of something with us to just, keep it to us, because Solomon is not keeping the structure of God, and then his power is becoming weaker, and this country is about to be, under attack. So they took and they chased them, and then they were running with their chariots, and the dust covered the Israelites' chariots, so they couldn't reach to them. They came in on the Nile in Ethiopia. Like there's a city called the Bahar Dar, and then a small island. It was covered, like you can't just reach it, and they went, and then they hid it there, and now it's transported into Aksum later. So that's the story on the Ethiopian side. So legend have it, Ethiopia have the Ark of the Covenant. So that is the history of Queen of Sheba. So now, after Queen of Sheba, there was this woman, like, so literally that's how Jewish religion came to Ethiopia, because those men came to Ethiopia and then they married Ethiopian women and then they converted. So part of Ethiopia population, part of it is Jew. So there are a lot of Ethiopian Jewish people in Israel, Ethiopian Jews, and they were taken 30 years ago when the communists fell off, and then a new government was swapping Ethiopia, and the Israelites came, like a cargo plane came in, picked up a lot of Ethiopian Jews. So now there are a lot of population in Israel, Ethiopian Jews. So in that moment, when one king, the Aksumite king, fell, and one king died accidentally when the people were mourning. In the middle of mourning and chaos, this Jew, powerful woman, rose up and literally took over the government, and she reigned for 40 years. And she burned so many history, she burned so many Christian books and stuff. And 40 years, imagine 40 years of torture. Like, in Ethiopia, the Jews was a very sidelined population, unfortunately. The division of religion and the undermining is so sad, unfortunately. And so when you suffer oppression for many years, unless you have God and the Holy Spirit, you will be the worst oppressor. So she became a worst oppressor. You can imagine destroying churches, burning down all the churches, burning down every trace of history. That's what she did. 40 years. You can imagine after that to survive that kind of torture and take over to the next level. And so Ethiopia went through a lot of 40 years, 50 years in such government. And so it is not like we had we had an easy thousands and thousands years. The 5,000 years is not just, you know, smooth transition. It's just by war, by power, by murder. Like, you know, it's just, unfortunately, that is the case with our country. And it's just, imagine that kind of transition destroys you. So all these pages, literally 298 government. See that? 298 government for 5,000 years. This is up to Haile Selassie, 46 years. See that? 46 years. So the only longer kingdom was before that is Queen of Sheba, I believe. Yes. And now, so I think for today this is what I want to end it with, because 30 minutes of history and mumbling. Storytelling. I'll be a better storyteller, but for now, with my fathers. Pastor Girma, here you go. He's in the 70s right now. 7 years old, young man. He's still writing. Okay. Until next time.